There we go. Live.
Hi, friends. Nice to see you. Look at us. Look at us. Look at you. Look at us. We got dozens of people streaming into this bad boy. Nice to see you all. Welcome to the FiveStack, the five biggest breaking news stories of the day, as told to you by myself and my friend Zev Shalev. Narrative.org is where you can find him. You can find me at deanblundell.substack.com. We got a busy show for people today, dude.
It's a busy one. There is so much news happening. It's not even a typical day. It's like in the Trump world, it's like twice as typical, whatever that would be. It's 2 times normal. It is so much news coming at us in the last 24 hours, plus a big narrative exclusive, which is yet to post. I'm yet to post the story, but it is a big one. It looks at what's happening to the voter rolls, that the Trump administration is using the DOJ basically to take these voter rolls from states. And we've uncovered the one very important detail that other people have missed, which is that Doge, Elon Musk's Doge, is now in charge of going through those voters' rolls. What could go wrong, Dean? What could go wrong? So we'll get into that story as well.
While we're all seriously waiting to figure out what's going to go on in the Strait of Hormuz, what's going to go on in Iran, while you're sitting there waiting with bated breath, waiting to figure out whether or not Donald Trump is lying about allies coming to his aid in Iran, he's lying. While you're sitting there wondering what's going to go on with not just that, but your health care, the economy in the United States of America, Donald Trump has tapped Elon Musk to count your votes.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw our special yesterday with the 2 Doge guys, these 2 dweebs who are in charge of the National Endowment for the Humanities, who went in there with ChatGPT and killed $100 million in grants in a matter of weeks. They didn't have a clue what they were doing. Didn't understand what DI was, what grants were, anything. Didn't give a shit either. They just were like, okay, we're going to cut this. They did cut a lot of people's great works and a lot of people's livelihoods. And basically still you remember Doge was all about eliminating the deficit, or at least reducing it by $2 trillion. It did nothing like that. In fact, the deficit increased. So, the fact that this department, which is so terrible at finding fraud and waste and all the other stuff that they promised in the deficit, is now being given the chance to find any problems with the state voter rolls. I mean, that's just not going to end well.
It amazes me that people still put any faith in this administration. Amazes me that people put any faith in this regime. Amazes me that when people hear a story like that, they go, on to the next. On to the next. Doesn't matter. We're not interested in who counts our votes. We're not interested in why he's deciding to do that. Hopefully someone smarter than us will figure this whole thing out. No one smarter than you is coming.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, like nobody. They own every level of government, every institution. And so when you hear stories like this, it's incumbent upon you to take it seriously at this point of the juncture of the Trump regime. Like, it's really, really important for everybody that has anything to do with giving your agency, which is what your vote is, right? It's your power, it's your agency. Yeah, I'm going to give you my agency for 4 years. When you hear a story about Donald Trump tapping Doge, Elon Musk, to legitimately count your fucking votes in 2026 and 2028, Jesus fucking Christ, pardon the language, folks, depending on where you're from and what you believe. This is like giving Jeffrey Dahmer access to like a coroner's office and saying, just make sure everything goes well. This is legitimate, like giving Charles Manson access to a woman's shelter and saying, protect the ladies.
You're 100% what this right. Is. It is exactly that. It is. You couldn't be giving this criminal operation. Look, anyone who understands Elon Musk, who's watched our reports, who's followed narrative for a long time, knows that Elon Musk and Vladimir Putin are very good friends. They're in constant communication with each other. They are sharing information back and forth. He's helped Russia with Starlink on several occasions. He's, hedged that a little bit in the recent past. But we have, evidence showing that he was running disinformation memes for the Russians during the last election campaign. And there is no doubt that Elon Musk and is aligned with the Kremlin, knows all the leadership in the Kremlin propaganda arm, knows exactly what they're doing. And then you'll remember as well that in the last, round of elections, you remember Trump went on about how great Elon Musk was at rigging the computers in Pennsylvania. I might even have the clip here, but if you recall that, it was really startling how this particular, you even let the cat out of the bag. I think he said that Elon Musk was very good with the electronic voting computers, I think was the exact term that he used. We all know that Elon Musk did something in the elections last time to at least flip Pennsylvania. I mean, it just seems unlikely that the president was making an admission like that without it being, based on something. Now, Elon Musk did a lot of other things too during the elections. He had a whole voter manipulation campaign out there, a lot of things that were semi on board. But there's something that happened with the electronic voting machines, which Trump kept talking about. And it makes you wonder, what exactly did they do? And what does it mean now that same guy who maybe, fiddled with the elections voting machines in 2020 is now going to do this time round, 2024, he's now going to do this time round with this new information. And if you want to yak a little bit, I can actually find that clip for you, I think.
Please. That'd be great. And listen, before I say anything, let me preface everything by saying I only believe in data points. Like, I don't believe in, data points that don't say something that might lead to something. I need to see data points, like hard sets of information that would make me believe that this is true or this is untrue, which is really important to me. It should be important to everybody. We don't live in that world anymore. We live in a post-truth society where someone can say, here's what I heard, and it's fucking true because it lines up with how I fucking believe because I'm a hillbilly who doesn't read, for fuck's sakes. It's what I do. Sorry, that's my Western Canada accent. That's my Western Canada hillbilly accent. Hey, fuck, I heard Mark Carney liked to diddle Jeffrey Epstein while he diddled himself. Like, that's a big thing that's going on here in Canada right now. I shit you not. Anyway,
really?
Like Mark Carney being in the Epstein world.
Wow, I find that so ridiculous.
So crazy.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just the same rhetoric from the same morons. But when it comes to the data points that we're talking about, which is, did Donald Trump steal 2024? We have no way of knowing. We don't know that. I'm not on the side of, yes, he stole 2024. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein was a big reason for him tapping Elon Musk, giving him agency to do whatever he wanted with Doge, to take your money, take your tax money, reappropriate it for different government grants, et cetera, et cetera. But there's something bigger at stake here, and that's the theft of your information. And we've been talking about this for years and years, between Starlink, between Elon Musk and X, and paying $44 billion for a shitty social media platform. He just wants your data, and he wants your data points, which is really important because he's going to target a certain subset of people with certain pieces of information that he can guarantee that will draw action, make you donate, make you vote, do something a certain way. And I think that a lot of people have lost sight of that, but they've also lost sight of the fact that you can breathe, past performance, greatest indicator of future performance. You can breathe that into existence when it comes to any one of these guys too. So while we sit here and we talk about, Elon Musk possibly stealing the election for Donald Trump, we don't have any data points that tell us otherwise as of yet. But past performance being an indicator of future performance, you can actually kind of solve that problem or square that circle by saying it stands to reason that with all the dementia rhetoric around Donald Trump going, yeah, he helped me rig the election. That's why I got the Olympics. That's why I got the World Cup. That's why I got it all. Got the Olympics, got the World Cup because they did their computer games and they did their thing. Ready Player One. And look at me. I'm the president. I'm the president. And I think that that's what this clip will dictate. But you got to put those things together for it all to make sense. But at the same time, you can't really make a real judgment on the fact that
not just the clip. I mean, there are data points, but let's listen to some of the stuff. These are a bit random here, but let me just see what we get out of these playing these back.
Clips. Yeah.
No, you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a Kinder Surprise.
I know.
Journey to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania, and he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote-counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide, so it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon.
Thank you, Elon. Those voting computers, I mean, that's...
Those vote-counting computers, nonetheless.
To get more specific than that. So, look, the president has done many things, and he said many things that we don't take for as fact. But that seemed like one of those things he thought, well, I got nothing to lose. I've won now, so I'm just going to say, hey, thanks, Elon. Thanks for doing that for me. That's at least what it feels like to me. There's one other clip I'm going to play from Elon himself. Maybe it's actually Trump. Let's see what happens.
We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. We will create the new Department of Government Efficiency, headed by a gentleman named Elon Musk, who's here someplace. I don't know where the hell he is. He's here someplace.
Did you hear that? Is that playing that? Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I hear it all. Yeah.
Okay. So he's here someplace, and he comes onto the screen, and he does actually do a little bit of song and dance here. But I think the thing that we're trying to there it is, the actual thing. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna do great things here. Thank you.
Let's get back here and see what exactly this is. Look at this geek.
So. Yeah. So we're gonna do great things here.
He goes on and talks about that, and then he was. Remember, he was on Joe
by the way,
Rogan.
those great things were supposed to be $2 trillion in savings. They added $3 trillion to the deficit through that process.
Yeah, that was before he did the Sig Heil, or maybe just after he did the Sig Heil on his way up to, or whatever that he described that thing as. And then he did this thing on Joe Rogan just to let everyone remember this clip, because it is interesting what he said on Joe Rogan here.
Because the beginning of the night, no one knew what was going to happen. So you're watching the first results roll in, and there's like this weird thing, and then Trump gets way ahead, but you don't want to get too hopeful. Like, how far ahead he's in? He's ahead by 100 points. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, and you're like, what is it? And some channels are like, and then every channel's kind of different.
Yeah. They had different numbers. I was getting a different number off my Apple News update than I was getting off of CNN. And then I was texting people like Tulsi and J.D. Vance. I was getting a different Apparently, Elon created an app, and he knew who won 4 hours before the results. So as the results were coming in, 4 hours before they called it, Dana White told me, Elon was like, I'm leaving. It's over. Donald won. He just fucking somehow or another.
I'm gonna go back into my pod and evaporate.
I don't know what he's getting, where he's pulling his data from, but he had like the most accurate data in terms of the rural states hadn't put their results in yet, but yet Trump was ahead in these states. Kamala's never going to win those states, so tabulated that and put it all together. I don't know how he did it. But
yeah,
Dana. I haven't even talked to Elon about this. I don't know the Dana translation, but Dana said he had an app, and he was showing him. He's like, it's over. And he fucking left. Dude just left.
It's over. John Jones won.
So I believe Rogan is describing something that really happened, and I do believe that Elon Musk had an app, and he did leave early that night. Everyone knows that he did. And then, there's a whole thing about Starlink having emergency access to all the cell phone towers in the United States of America because of the Milton hurricane that hit the Carolinas. So, they would have, through that, gotten access to any electronic voting machine connected to the cell phone networks in America, which, by the way, they're all connected to the cell phone networks of America. That's how they get their data up and down, through cell phone networks. So now Starlink has access to that. Then there's this other part of the story, and I won't drag this out for too long, but there's Peter Thiel's Palantir. Peter Thiel we just described this a few weeks ago on Narrative, right, on one of our big exclusives. Jeffrey Epstein introduced Peter Thiel to his FSB contact, Sergei Belyakov, who's a Russian spy handler, and to the former Russian ambassador to the UN, Cherkov, who's also a spy handler. And Peter Thiel got to know both of them quite well and discussed very, future of economy kind of issues and other things. And then it landed up that Jeffrey Epstein funded Peter Thiel with $40 million. Peter Thiel was also involved in the Jared Kushner digital operation to elect Donald Trump in 2016. So Peter Thiel's involved in all of this. Now, remember, Doge was building this massive database of all this different databases in the federal government, and they're combining it all.
Yeah.
And so Palantir is the preeminent government database connected to the Pentagon that has access to all the data you could possibly imagine for every American, except for voters' rolls. Except for voters' rolls aren't really available, except they do have access. We discovered last year another exclusive on Narrative that Palantir has this thing with this company that purchased the power supply units that connect to. Can you hear us? Oh no, we lose you. I can't hear you. No,
I'm right here, dude.
Okay,
right here. Yeah.
So you get electronic voting machines. They're air gapped. They're not meant to connect to anything. They're not meant to be networked. But there are power supply units that are connected to the electronic voting machines, which are networked, and that Palantir has a deal with a company that connects all the power supply units to each other. Now, theoretically, not practically, theoretically, those networked computers can overcome air gaps because it's through power supply. You could transfer data up and down both ways, but we don't know if they've done anything like that. We're not saying that they did anything like that.
Yeah, you got to show me. Like that's where I'm at. I get all this. I understand.
I'm just saying, you look at the overall arc of what's available to these people right now. They do have capacity to see all the electronic voting machines and their power supplies around the country as people are voting. That's a big deal. Most people don't even know that happened. They certainly don't expect Palantir to have it. And then you get Tulsi Gabbard, who a few weeks ago was in charge of the operation, which is a domestic FBI operation, apparently, to go and take the voters' rolls out of Fulton County. And remember, for some reason, she shows up, the head of DNI shows up on a domestic federal investigation.
Like
and then Donald Trump
that's the
calls
one
up.
data point. That's the one data point where I would look at it and go, that's illegal. The
Sketchy,
DNI,
sketchy.
ODNI, getting not just a little sketchy. It's like it's performatively sketchy. Where you're like, okay, what are you doing? Like that's the one thing. Like when everybody talks about all the information they have and the receipts they have about a stolen election in 2024, I'm like, okay, show me. And there's only one thing that anybody's shown me, and that is the receipts of Tulsi Gabbard, the ODNI, who's in charge of foreign interference, being cleared to go into Fulton County and steal the voter rolls, take voting information, literally walk out. It has never happened before, not her jurisdiction, not allowed to do it. She seized those voter rolls. And in months before that, she seized Smartmatic electronic voting machines in Puerto Rico. And each time she said the same thing, had the exact same rhetoric, which was, we found irregularities.
Yeah.
We found her and pure like fantasy about what those irregularities are, because we don't know. No one's telling us. It's almost like Donald Trump telling us 2 days ago or yesterday, we've got like a flotilla of allies and their boats coming to help us in the Strait of Hormuz. And you're like, okay, well, that's ambiguous. Tell us what it is. And then we find out today, he puts out another tweet and he's like, by the way, I fucking hate NATO. I hate our allies. No one's coming. Fuck you. So like when you think about the ambiguity involved in this regime, that's where some truth lies, but we can't actually get to the truth because they refuse to give us any data that comes with any of the decisions that they say they're making in the best interest of the United States of America, which if they don't make them will lead to certain death for you, by the way. Just want to point that out.
I agree with you on the Tulsi Gabbard thing, because not only is she a Russian operative, everyone pretty much accepts that she's a Russian operative.
Sure.
She has no business doing the things she's doing. She's not in charge of voters' rolls. She's not in charge of domestic enforcement of any kind. What she's doing and taking voter data is just, really weird. So that is a huge anomaly. But then the data point you could also take to the bank is that Doge is now taking a look at those voter rolls. What is Doge looking at those voter rolls for? Has anybody got any idea why Doge, which has no responsibility for voters' rolls, has no responsibility?
That's the downstream effect of criminality, right?
Yeah.
Like, when we talk about downstream effects and data points, those are two really important phrases. Data points, what data do you have, and what are the downstream effects of you enacting on that or acting on the data? And what we're saying here is that there is no data, none that we've been shown, None that the American people have been shown that there's been anything untoward when it comes to the deep state, other than what it comes to Donald Trump being the deep state, doing anything to any voter polls, any voter irregularity, any of that stuff. None. It's all on Donald Trump. It's all on people around him. Those are the only people that have been caught red-handed, like Heather Honey, who's now in charge of the United States elections process, by the way, fucking around with 113,000 votes in Michigan and Pennsylvania. So, like, those are data points. Those are facts. And I think it's really incumbent upon both of us, as we do every day, to continue to talk about those things and then be able to take some of the conspiratorial stuff and then move that aside and go, this is what they're doing. Because to your point, to your greater point, what they're trying to do is make you think that the United States elections are not secure. And if they're not secure, I can tell you this, there is no data point that says they're not secure because of any other regime or any other person that is feeding into that truth or lie other than Donald Trump. So when we think about what sits around him, that centrifuge of how do I insert a question? How do I make people doubt the process? That's what we're talking about. That's the important thing to remember here today when we talk about data points and that downstream effect of disinformation when it comes to your votes.
Denver Riggleman was on the show a few weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago. You invited Congressman Denver Riggleman on. He was holding up, he said two things that really struck me. One is that, there's conspiracy theories and then there's conspiracies. And,
then there's criminal conspiracies.
And this is beginning to look like a criminal conspiracy, although we're still early stages of it. And he held up that 17-page plan that the Trump administration was going to start arguing that the elections last time round were not secure and therefore they needed to have this special emergency. So you can see that plan, which was spoken out loud, is now beginning to see all these other systems being put in place there. Yeah. So, you've got all these different systems, all capable of doing things, connected to the Kremlin, connected to Elon Musk, connected to Peter Thiel. And then you've got this data flow arriving with Tulsi Gabbard as a sort of entree to all of these things. And you've got a strategic plan put out by the president's supporters saying exactly what they're going to be doing in terms of framing the last elections as being a rigged election because of the Chinese and the Iranians. And it all begins to look like a conspiracy. It really does, like a criminal conspiracy.
That's where the data points align.
Yeah.
Like that, like when we're talking about data points and you want to tell anybody what the reality is, fuck that. But when you align on criminal conspiracy, we see it happening in real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that criminal conspiracy is taking that big lie, morphing that into a couple of data points that you can give to people where they go, well, Nicolas Maduro, who's under fucking supermax arrest and being threatened right now by the same Tulsi Gabbard, which we know to be true, is saying that the United States was compromised because Nicolas Maduro is now on the side of Donald Trump. Well, you give that guy fucking like two data points. Supermax prison, or you go back to Venezuela, you enjoy the spoils of war. All you got to say is that you tried to fuck the election, tried to fuck me, and you tried to do it for Biden, and you took a bunch of money for it. And then we tell the American people that. Those are data points too. And they matter here, because why they matter is that Donald Trump can't deliver any kind of truth in a post-truth society, which is a lie, to anybody that doesn't come with some kind of see, I told you it was Maduro. See, it was Italy. Right. See, I told you it was these people. And so it always kind of sits in that, truth is a lie, lie is a truth cauldron, but the cauldron is full of shit because Donald Trump has poisoned that well. And the reason why he's poisoned that well is because of his fucking ego. I go back to this all the time too, is that he's trying so desperately to keep you away from the failure that he is, that he will do anything, including going and kidnapping the leader of a fucking sovereign country and telling him, listen, you either get on side with this fucking second big lie that you caused me my election loss in 2020. You caused me my election win, which should have been a loss in 2024, no matter how hard you tried. And we have to cancel the elections in 2026 and 2028. Yeah. Because you, as the president of Venezuela, can speak to that and give me all kinds of juice. Yeah, not so much. No.
Look, the elections are under serious threat. We all know they're under serious threat, but people are not really paying the kind of attention, as you pointed out earlier, to this as they need to be. Everyone needs to be calling their Congress people. Everyone needs to be calling their state secretaries of state, because it is so important that everyone pay attention to this reporting about the infrastructure that's being put in place, the clear operational nodes that have been put in place here for the interference in the next election, the 2026 election. Everybody knows there's a motive behind this. Everybody knows that Trump's rankings are tanking. His ratings are tanking. He really, really needs some weird engineered victory over here. And this is quite possibly exactly how he's doing it. So pay attention to the reports. I'm going to put it out at the end of the show today, but you've got the framework right here on FiveStack. This is a very serious bit of business here about what may be happening behind the scenes to take away your vote, ultimately. And probably, we've said this a few times in the recent elections, that it may be the last democratic election we have in America. This may be the last democratic election we have in America.
Listen, he said as much, right?
Yeah.
You vote for me this time, you'll never vote again. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Elon's got his magic computers. I'll just do my thing. You don't have to worry about it. Just vote for me this one time. You'll never have to vote again. We don't have that clip. But all you have to do is Google that clip.
Yeah, he said we don't need the votes. We don't even need your votes.
We don't need the votes. We don't need your vote. This will be the last time you ever vote again if you just vote for me this one time, to your point. And that's a data point as well, right? Because he's so fucked in the head, he doesn't even understand what he's saying. And now he's starting to give away state secrets. And that's kind of the great part about Donald Trump having dementia. That's the great part about this guy being the bag of toys that he kind of is, mental, emotional, cognitive toys, is that he's now starting to say the quiet part out loud. The other day, he's like, I don't know why we invade countries. Maybe it's just a habit. That's what we do. I'm like, oh my God, he said the fucking quiet part out loud.
He is making a habit of doing this. He's taking over countries. He wants to be a dictator. He's following Putin's orders. Remember Lev Parnas said to us, his source told him that Putin told Trump, it was either in that Anchorage summit or somewhere around there, that if Putin said to him, it doesn't matter about the votes, it matters who counts the votes. And that is the context you got to view this story in. What they're doing, in all likelihood, if you're planning this out from a possibilities perspective, I'm not saying they are, but it looks like they're going to try mess with the tabulation of the votes by disenfranchising a lot of people through the SAVE Act, which may be passed today or not in the Senate, or not likely.
It won't get passed, no.
Or, all these other methods that they're going to do, which is mess with the back end of these things, mess with those electronic voting computer machines as they send the data up into the tabulating machines. And those tabulating machines is where a lot of people have been focusing a lot of attention on, because that may be where some of the, funny accounting is going on. So that's where the story. We're just getting to the story number 5 on the countdown today. Overnight, Israeli forces killed al-Larjani, Iran's de facto leader, and the one figure in Tehran's power structure with both the credibility and the pragmatism to negotiate a way out of this war. The Israeli military also confirmed the killing Gholam Reza Soleimani, head of the Basij militia. This is day 17 of the U.S.-Israeli war in Iran. I get what Israel's doing here, but if we keep eliminating everyone we could possibly have a conversation with, how does this war end?
Just so you know, it doesn't. And these are all ace of spades, jack of diamonds, king of hearts sort of kills, right? If you remember when the Gulf War happened, George Bush was like, here's a 52 set of deck of cards of bad guys that we need to go after. These are all on those deck of cards. These are people that they want to get. They want to tell everybody between Israel and the United States, we've taken out this new leader. He was only in power for 5 minutes. We've taken out this guy. He was in charge of the IGRC. Listen, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they tell you. And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter. And I've got no love for the Iranian regime. I could care less. If they were decimated tomorrow and the people of Iran could live democratically, I'd be a happy guy. Could be a happy guy. But that's not the case here, because 93 million people, of those 93 million, you got half who are hardline Muslim regime people who completely support their president, completely support the Khomeini, completely support the IGRC, who are deathly afraid or 100% committed due to being deathly afraid. Doesn't matter. And what Americans and what other people in the West don't understand is that commitment. They don't understand how the IGRC was built, which is very similar to the FSB, which is you cannot cut the fucking head off the IGRC snake. You just can't. It is built with 50 different levels of chains of command, that if this guy gets taken out, chain of command goes over there, and nobody understands that chain of command. And then you have thousands of sleeper cells around the United States of America, around the world, who are sitting, lying in wait, waiting for their instructions from the new supreme leader of Iran. Well, it depends on who they kill today. That's the new supreme leader of Iran. And the goal is not different. The goal is the same. And that's, how do we kill as many Jews and as many Satan-loving Westerners as we possibly can. And that number is in the tens of millions of people, and that's not just in Iran. That is around the fucking world. So when we have this conversation, it is super important to keep all that shit in mind.
Everything you're saying is so important, but it's so confusing to me that, Trump said he had the next leader of the Iranians already picked out, but that they died in that initial hit.
We accidentally killed him.
Yeah, we accidentally killed. Well, okay, so you killed that guy. Do you have anybody else left? And then one of the guys that is potentially left is this guy that, is the de facto leader, is apparently remarkably pragmatic considering the situation he's in, has been sort of slow pedaling a little bit on this war. Well, Ali Larijani is now dead too. So why is Israel killing the only people that America can talk to? It doesn't seem like they actually are talking to each other, or they don't have the same goals in mind. If one of them wants the war to continue, well, you'd be killing all these leaders. If you want the war to end, you wouldn't be chopping off their head every single time. It just doesn't make sense that they're doing it. This guy is about as reasonable and pragmatic a person as you're going to find out in the Iranian government.
Yeah, and he's dead. He's the only dude they could talk to. Listen, this just speaks to the lack of planning. It also speaks to the hubris of the United States military. And it also speaks to your point about the lack of communication between IDF and the United States military. It speaks to, because the IDF is claiming that, every single leader that they take out, they put out this big tweet, this big social media post. We just took out the guy who was in charge of cleaning the latrines. We just took out the guy who was in charge of strategy when it comes to who gets to work and parking passes with the IGRC at this base. We just took this guy out.
Yeah.
Great. Good stuff. But there are thousands of more people getting ready to ascend to those positions. And that's what we don't understand and appreciate as Western civilization. We're all in the chain of command, who's important, who's not. They're in the, hey, who's next? Who's going to die next for Allah?
Yeah.
You get 72 virgins. You get to go to heaven. You get to live in eternity for the rest of your life with all these young nubile women. Like you're like, well, none of them care. None of them care.
Well, maybe they do care. Maybe they don't want to die for the Allah, but they're still, they're still in the process of they'll still do it, and they're also trying to be pragmatic on the other side. I don't get the sense yet that they've gone full tilt against the West yet. They're still holding back some. I think if they have any left, it's hard to tell. Meanwhile, the president is all mad at NATO and his other allies. I'm going to play clip roulette here and see if we get the clip that we want here. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to get, but let's try. No, that's the wrong clip, you see?
Yeah, that's...
Are you rethinking the United States' relationship with NATO possibly getting out?
Well, I'm disappointed in NATO that we spend trillions of dollars on NATO. Think of it, trillions over the years, many trillions of dollars. It's one of the reasons we have deficits and we help other countries. And when they don't help us, I mean, it's certainly something that we should think about. I don't need Congress for that decision. As you probably know, I can make that decision myself. I'd work with some very smart people. And I'd always deal with Congress anyway, but I don't need Congress for that decision. But when you say rethink, I have nothing currently in mind, but I will say that I'm not exactly thrilled when we help them with Ukraine. Look, Ukraine would have been over in one day if we didn't help. Frankly, Ukraine would have been over in the first day. They had the best equipment in the world. It was our equipment given by Sleepy Joe Biden. No charge, no charge. Hundreds of billions of dollars of the best equipment in the world, no charge. I will say that I'm not happy about it.
Mr. President, 2 questions.
So he's got nothing to say, but he's trying to say maybe he'll leave NATO and maybe it's his decision and whatever, but he's not happy that every major US ally, UK, France, Germany, everybody, is just saying, no, we don't want to be part of your war. We don't want our people to be harmed. And it's kind of a lousy war anyhow.
Yeah. You remember the other day, he's like, we shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
Like but you did it against the advice of every shitty general that you install. They told you, hey, that we can't win this war. And you're like, let's do it anyway. You just do it anyway.
Yeah, let's use the last of our ammunition on a stupid war that nobody wants.
Yeah,
great idea.
Great idea. Fucking stupid. And just to kind of give you guys some comfort, says I don't need Congress for that decision. Section 1250A of the Constitution, 22 Section 1928F prohibits the president from withdrawing the U.S. from NATO without 2/3 Senate supermajority and an act of Congress.
Oh,
so there's
tell
that.
The president that.
So, well, no, you can't expect him to understand the Constitution or any of the subvariants of the Constitution that would lead him to make a statement that would make him look weak, right?
Yeah.
He looks weak there. And what he was asked was, hey, none of the NATO people you said were coming are coming. None of them. What are you going to do? You want to leave NATO? And he's like, I might leave NATO. I don't know. It's up to me. I have to go through Congress, but I don't have to go through Congress. He has to go through Congress. And, they don't support us. We're the only people that have ever answered Article 5 in NATO. They triggered it, the United States after 9/11.
And it doesn't cost the deficit or the debt. NATO's not doing anything to the deficit.
No,
give me a break.
Zero.
So many other things. It's your interest payments that you keep racking up.
Such a fucking loserific statement by a loserific moron who has no fucking idea what he's talking about.
And if America was attacked right now, we don't have the ammunition to defend ourselves. We would need NATO to defend us. So it's a really bad idea to be leaving NATO at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
really
guys in the United States. Hey, America, the Pentagon, listen to Dean, Uncle Dean. Uncle Dean's got a question for you. Do you have any stuff left? Where's your stuff? Your stuff's gone. You wasted it all. 626 strikes, 9 different countries, 4 different continents. And now you just blew through 4 years of munitions.
Crazy.
In 18 days. And then you just moved USS Gerald Ford and the USS Abraham Lincoln into the Indian Ocean. And by the way, USS General Ford, it just literally went through a 30-hour fucking fire. A fire that destroyed a large portions. Oh, this is a true story. Of its operational systems because you couldn't clean the shitters out.
Oh, yeah,
the fire in the laundry room. Yeah. It was called a poop cruise. That's what they were calling it. And here's the other thing. Now, every service member, 5,500 of them on the USS Gerald Ford, are under investigation for sabotage. That's a big fucking news story. You're going to start reading about how sailors on the USS Gerald Ford might have lit some shit on fire so that they don't have to go and attack a country that doesn't deserve to be attacked. It's a big investigation, and I'm not kidding you.
It's a serious story. It's
a very fucking serious story that we haven't talked about. Yeah. And so now you've got potential, I'll just say potential at the moment, sabotage of an aircraft carrier by 5,500 American sailors who were like, possibly, fuck this.
I mean, no one wants to go to fight this war. No one's interested in this war. This is let's listen to the president himself. If we can play this bit of roulette here, let's see what happens.
We don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves. It's one of the great assets that we have. We have more than double what anybody else in terms of oil production. We're at more than double any other country. So we don't need it, but we did it. It's almost, you could say we did it out of habit, which is not a good thing to do. But we did it because we have some good allies there. We have some great Middle Eastern countries there, Israel there. So we did it for a lot of reasons. But
translation, we did it for Israel. I mean, that's really why he did it. That's the same thing that everybody's saying this is why he did it. I mean, there's no doubt in anyone's
That's what
mind.
I love about dementia Trump. He'll just say the shit now.
So, they did it for Israel. Let's just call a spade a spade. He basically admits it. There's a lot of oil in America. There's no real need. No one really thinks the nuclear threat was imminent or not. And we'll get into that with Joe Kent in just a story that's next. So that's the reason we're there. Can you blame people on the carrier for starting a fire because they don't want to go fight a war that has nothing to do with them?
Potentially, no, you can't blame them. No.
Yeah. So this morning, Joe Kent, Trump's handpicked, this is story number 3, I think.
And a
Trump's
big fucking story, by the way.
Yeah.
Big story.
So Joe Kent is Trump's handpicked director of national counterterrorism. This is the guy he appointed to be there. It's he's an 11 combat tour, Green Beret, whose wife was killed in a suicide bombing in Syria. You couldn't get a more serious guy than this for this job. He resigned. His reason: Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States. You heard it there. Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States, according to the head of the National Counterterrorism Center. The war is illegal, and Israel manipulated Trump into it. He said he couldn't, in good conscience, continue in his position. Iran posed no imminent threat, as just mentioned. It is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I cannot, in good conscience, support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people.
This is the first sort of senior Trump regime person to get so tired, so exhausted, so disinterested in Trump's bullshit that he's basically said, go fuck yourself. You're destroying the United States. You've destroyed any credibility we have in the world. And these are people like Joe Kent is a self-avowed white nationalist. Joe Kent is a self-avowed Christian nationalist who's gone and looked at and surveyed the situation around him, gone, okay, this is a lie. Like what America's doing to the Iranian people, what we're selling to the free world, how we look so weak in this moment. And keep in mind, that is the biggest struggle for a lot of these people that are in office, that served in the U.S. military, in the United States Navy, for the American forces, is that they watch this guy go back and forth and go, we need you, we don't need you, we're begging you, we're not begging you, we're demanding you, we're threatening, and now we don't need you anymore. That's the latest from Donald Trump. We don't need you anymore. Fuck you. Y'all said no to us. We're going to go it alone. And Joe Kent did the honorable thing where he's like, listen, I can't be responsible for this stuff. I can't be responsible. And this is a man who truly believes that white men deserve the top of the fucking ladder when it comes to the rung of influence in the United States of America. This is a man who is a card-carrying fucking member of MAGA who just handed in his resignation and said, Israel's forcing us to do this. And then you combine that with yesterday's conversation about Groypers. He's going to be the new Groyper hero. He's going to be the guy that everybody looks at and goes, oh my God, 18 to 34-year-old men, let's follow this Joe Kent dude. And there's opportunity there for him too.
Tonight.
Right now. Guaranteed he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's set up for it right now. And it's going to be, everyone's bracing for this interview. Carlson, as you pointed out yesterday, is the sort of, the spokesperson, the guy carrying the spirit of the Groyper movement. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's almost like they intentionally did this. They started a war with Iran so people could start hating Jews more, and they could, coalesce around these anti-Israeli efforts. It just seems so predictable that they obviously thought this through. They knew this was a result of this. And even the president himself is admitting, hey, it was Israel. It was Israel. So everybody's saying it was Israel. He made a stupid decision. The GOP is stopping any attempts to curtail this war by the Democrats. It is a catastrophe for the GOP.
Yeah, and it's called strategy in the world of Trump and the world of MAGA, where you read the tea leaves and you're like, who is everybody mad at? Who does everybody hate? And this Groyper movement is hardcore against Netanyahu, hardcore against Israel, hardcore against getting involved in anything that isn't America first. Well, this is not an America first war, to your point. And a guy like Joe Kent is sort of that senior statesman of that America First movement, that Groyper movement, that Tucker Carlson sort of, MO, which is like, hey, we love Russia, we hate Israel. Now we're going to carve the middle.
Yeah.
This is great news for everybody that is not a part of the MAGA movement, because you're watching the tail eat the head. Now and that is so important when it comes to the death of a movement, is watching the tail eat the head. And when the tail, which is the Tucker Carlson, the Groypers, the Joe Kent guys that are coming around going, no, we see an opportunity here, a political opportunity within this fucked up cult of MAGA to splinter this MAGA cult and turn it into something that is even more aggressive by looking like we give a shit about humanity, which none of them do. And that's really important to remember.
So what do you do when Joe Kent, your countering terrorism guy, resigns? You sent the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, in front of the press corps in the House. Let's listen to him try to explain this mess.
I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services, and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence that we understood.
The intelligence comes from this guy.
Moment for us. Had the president waited,
I mean, that's not a word I would associate with the regime. No,
but the intelligence, the information they ran this war on, came from Joe Kent.
Dramatically damaged.
Yeah,
and so we had to. The president felt that he had to strike first to prevent. That's a summary. I can't tell you the classified part.
So
that's a summary that's made public, and it's accurate.
At this very hour, they are busy withdrawing absolutely every American embassy worker, anybody remotely related to the American government out of the Middle East, because they're under such imminent threat that if this war was designed to prevent the destruction of American embassies and the death of Americans in the Middle East, well, it's doing it in a kind of roundabout way, because they're all withdrawing. I mean, they're retreating. It's like, is that
2 weeks later?
Yeah. There was no imminent threat from Tehran. There's nothing like that. Everybody knows that it's complete bullshit. And so does Joe Kent. And that's why Joe Kent has made this incredibly big move to walk away. By the way, his boss, Tulsi Gabbard, is his boss. So quite a group he's got there.
No, that's a big kick in the nuts. Like, in Canada, we had, and this led to the end of Justin Trudeau. We had the deputy prime minister, a woman named Chrystia Freeland, who now is a special envoy to Ukraine, Harvard educated, minister of the economy, effectively, and she basically quit on Justin Trudeau a couple of years ago. If you remember this, about a year and a half ago. She's like, I can't do this. He does not understand anything about the economy. I'm not going to sit shotgun to the bankruptcy of the United States. I'm just not. Right. That was the end of Justin Trudeau. That was effectively, and God bless her, for as shitty as the liberal aspects of that regime, and you and I have a difference of opinion on that. We now have Mark Carney, who's just running this fucking place like it's a business, and we've all been waiting for that for a very fucking long time, as opposed to some kind of performative fucking society that we were supposed to live in, right?
There's nothing wrong with what Mark Carney is doing at all. He's running a very, very good shop and reacting to things as best he can. I mean, there's a tidal wave that's hitting the world, and he's done a phenomenal job reacting to that.
Dude, he is the most in-demand leader in the free world, and he's been asked to lead this council of 40 mid-major powers across the globe. He's been front and center for this Nordic remake, Arctic Sentry, Arctic Security. He's in charge of that as well. I literally watched in this Nordic meeting where all the Nordic countries outside of Russia and the United States got together, and they're like, okay, we got to do something. To an individual leader, from Mette Frederiksen to the Prime Minister of Sweden to anybody, the President of Norway, Prime Minister of Norway, anybody that was in that meeting basically said, it's fucking Mark Carney's driving this bus. He's driving this bus because we get it. We understand the importance of our national security and our own sovereignty, specifically in the Arctic. And as I watched that, I was like, oh my God, yeah, we got a guy, right? Like we have a guy.
He really is impressive. And he's so understated and nice and thoughtful. Like, I mean, there's no...
Dude, he was in Hyde Park today. There's a great video of him. I put it on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen
he's
it.
in Hyde Park today, and he's out for a jog with the president of fucking Finland, and they're just out for a run.
I mean,
their wives, and they're like, it's him, his wife, president of Finland, his wife. No security detail. Someone's like, "What are you guys doing?" Hey, we're out for a jog. Like, I mean, we're.
Well, it must have been security.
Like, and then, well, I'm sure there were mulling around, you know, in front and back, whatever, But that's in Hyde Park today. And then I watched Donald Trump conduct this symphony of elitism, this attitude of "fuck you, fuck them, fuck anybody else who isn't us, who isn't the elites, who isn't in charge, fuck all y'all." And then I watched Alexander Stubb and Mark Carney, Finland prime ministers, run through Hyde Park with their wives today, and she goes, "Yeah, we're just out for a run." And I'm like, "There's the difference. The difference is in humanity."
Trump jogs very much. I don't think he's a.
I think he calls it jogging. I think he thinks it's Swedish.
But he plays sport. He golfs. That's his sport. So.
No, he's a shitty golfer. I mean, he hits a couple good shots. He's not a great golfer. He's bad.
The number 3 story on the countdown, we have only one more to go after this. We already did number 1, but the number 3 story is, while his father-in-law wages an unauthorized war in the Middle East, Jared Kushner is seeking $5 billion for his private equity firm from investors in the same region. Wow. Who would have thunk? The conflict there isn't a footnote. It's just what it is. Kushner simultaneously serving Trump as Trump's Middle East peace negotiator, his peace envoy's official title, also raising $5 billion for Affinity Partners, his private equity firm. The man has no business doing the first part of that job. Who knows if he can do the second, but he surely should not be connected to the US government while raising money for himself or the Saudi government, which is what he seems to be doing.
Are you telling me that a member of the Trump family is going around the country peddling the Trump name to try to get more money out of foreign governments at this moment in time? Is that what you're saying?
The very, very same one. You know, the
so
one
weird.
Mohammed bin Salman once said about Jared Kushner, "I have Jared Kushner in my pocket," and still has Jared Kushner in his pocket, because that's exactly what Kushner is doing, not even hiding it. What has America come to? The number 2 story, Cuba's national security grid collapsed today. A total power blackout across the island. Hours later, President Trump told reporters it would be a big honor to take Cuba. An honor to take Cuba. The Monroe Doctrine has been replaced by something that doesn't have a name yet. Maybe it's called the Donroe Doctrine, but he clearly is forcing Cuba into a very difficult position with effective embargo there. It's causing huge chaos to people in Cuba, and he wants to take it over. I don't know which army he wants to send there, because they all seem a little busy, but you know, maybe he'll use the ammunition he's got left to make sure that takeover works.
Yeah, to your point, let me just read you his exact words asked by Peter Doocy last night, who, by the way, Peter Doocy, Pete, you should spend more time looking for that chin you lost than asking questions of Donald Trump. I don't trust anybody with a weak chin. I just don't. Donald Trump said this to Peter Doocy. Yeah. Peter Doocy's like, what's going on with Cuba? What's going on with Cuba, Don? What's going on? Trump's like, Cuba, it's a beautiful island, great weather. I will be having the honor of taking Cuba. Whether it's free or not, I'll take it. I think I can do anything I want with Cuba, if you want to know the truth. You know, there are moments in this regime where I have thought to myself, delusions of grandeur or mental illness. Delusions of grandeur or emotionally and mentally unstable fucking psychopathy that I cannot diagnose because I am not. I'm leaning towards psychopathy and psychosis at this point, because that man literally just was like, yeah, it's my honor. I'll take it. I can do whatever I want. I can have not the United States of America. And this is a really important point I'm trying to make for all of you who have MAGA adjacent family members. He's not saying we. He's saying I can do what I want. I can take what I want. I can take Cuba. I can effectively destroy that country. It's mine. I can do whatever I want with Cuba. And I go back to Susie Wiles, his senior chief of staff, who was diagnosed with cancer. Sure, great, whatever. If you believe her, I don't believe anything that comes out of the regime. I do not believe Susie Wiles was diagnosed with cancer. However, having said that and being that as what it is, that's how Donald Trump thinks. And Susie Wiles told us that in an interview, if you remember, about a month and a half ago, where she kind of aired her dirty laundry. She's like, Trump thinks he can do fucking anything he wants. He really does.
He does. And the problem is the GOP is letting him get away with it. And they still are. I mean, there is no backbone that this political party is going to grow. And he intends to do all sorts of terrible things. And America's going to get stuck with a lot of bills at the end of this. Venezuela is going to cost America billions of dollars over the next few years because it's not in good shape. Venezuela is not in good shape. It needs a lot of money to be rebuilt. America's going to be paying for that. Cuba, the same thing. If you've been to Cuba, that place is falling apart. It's not a place you necessarily want. I mean, maybe strategically you want to make some sort of deal with them, but you want to rebuild Cuba? You know how much that is going to cost? You know how much the American taxpayer is going to be paying for that? And when you look around America right now, America could use some rebuilding itself. There's a lot of necessity, as we found out during the Biden administration, for infrastructure in America. And yet we're going to be investing all that money in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Iran, who knows, wherever else we might want to pour American taxpayer money into. But that's the world that Donald Trump is setting up for everyone who has to deal with these terrible decisions down the line, because that is what's going to happen. The next administration is going to come over and say, oh, holy fuck, to use a swear word, which I never do. There is so much red ink everywhere and so much exposure that America doesn't have any money left.
Yeah. Much like we're not going to find out how terrible alligator Alcatraz was or is until he's gone. Much like we didn't find out how terrible the Holocaust was until allies started to roll through Europe and started to kind of go into those camps. You are not going to find out how deeply financially fucking compromised you are until this is over. And that, from a human point, I think scares me even more than the physical aspects of what we're not going to find out until this regime is done, is how poor are you? How fucking in trouble is the United States of America from a financial standpoint? How compromised are you? Because that's what is going to kill the United States of America. Listen, you can come back from like, hey, we're mean to this group of people. Hey, we were shitty to migrants. Hey, ICE needs to be abolished. We'll do that. That's going to take a long time. It's going to take a generation. It's going to take generations for the United States of America to dig themselves out of the hole they have no idea they're in until they find out how bad it is until this regime is gone.
And if there are still people in MAGA who believe that this is the right direction for America, they're so deluded, they're so wrong that they almost deserve the government they have. But the rest of us need to make sure that we are standing up and are protesting. The No Kings March is coming up soon. Everyone needs to be thinking about what they're going to be doing right now for that march. But also, if you're not working in your community to make sure that the right candidates are being elected in your district, knowing what we mentioned at the top of the show, it's also our number one story on the show today, the narrative investigation into the plot to steal the 2026 election. It's really serious what they're intending to do. And the one way to try and counter that is to show up at the polls in massive numbers, and to be organized, and to do so in a sophisticated way where everybody knows exactly what the stakes are and what to do when you encounter, ICE goons at the polling stations. But this is more than a 5-alarm fire, whatever the most extreme situation you can think of. This is what America is going through, and we can't let the plot happen. We just can't.
5-alarm fire.
You can't get beyond this plot. I mean, this plot, if it plays out the way we are saying it's playing out, there are serious issues with what the government and this regime are going to be doing with with our elections, including interfering with Russian potential operatives in our election in this year. And that is not, a theory. That looks like it's happening.
Well, that's what I was going to say to wrap it up. And that is exactly what is happening. Not what looks like is happening. That is exactly what is happening. So thank you for putting a bullet in that. Appreciate it.
And thank you, deanblundell.substack.com. Your coverage has been amazing, as always. I can't believe how early you wake up, because I'm like, how did he do that? How did he get the Daily Dean out so darn early? But you had a good one today, and you have lots of other great stuff showing up on Daily Dean and on deanblundell.substack.com. What do you have going on?
Thank you. Yeah. Tough one. Daily Dean is the name of the website, name of the email that we put out every day. It's free for everybody.
I love it.
Kind of encompasses the 5 biggest stories that you need to know today. We're, in all democracy first, all fact-based. We try to orient people every morning, but we also try not to scream fire in a fucking movie theater, like Donald Trump does. We try to settle some people's nerves. And it's funny because I got a call from my dad today. He goes, I read everything you did today. So good. Really appreciate it. And that's kind of like my litmus test, where I'm like, if he's reading it, he's cool with it. His shoulders are down and you're relaxed a little bbit and you can understand what's going on around you. That's the importance of what I do. That is the importance of what my friend Zev Shalev does, which is duty to warn, but in an entertaining way where you can kind of put your shoulders down and go, okay, I'm not crazy, they are, which is really important in a time that we live in. So if you go to deanblundell.substack.com, you can check that out, including the evolving. And I love this. I love me some evolving Trump narrative where he was like, we don't need your help. We're going to decimate fucking Iran. And then he gets, an offer from the UK and he's like, fuck you. We already won the war. We don't need your help. And then he starts calling people. He's like, actually, we do need your help. And then he starts telling people that everyone's on their way. They're all coming in today. Donald Trump finally fessed up in an incredible Truth Social tweet where he's like, okay, so none of the NATO people I said were coming are coming. It's over. Fuck NATO, fuck you, fuck this. It is an absolute scene setter for who Donald Trump is, which is Taco fucking Trump. You fuck up, and then you blame everybody else for not unfucking you from your own fuck up. Please go and have a look at it, deanblundell.substack.com. But more importantly, my friend Zev Shalev just hit fucking publish on a piece that you need to explain to everybody here. You and I talked about it, have not read it. But this is an incredible piece when it comes to uncovering plausible deniability around Donald Trump when it comes to Doge.
This is still got to be published, but it's ready to go. So I'll post right after this. We know last night we did a thing with 2 Doge employees on the record for the first time under oath, describing what they did to the National Endowment of Heritage, which is an arts thing. And they cut $100 million in 28 days. Now Doge, we've discovered, is in possession or about to be in possession of voters' rolls seized out of United States by Tulsi Gabbard and others under false pretenses, and that same department that basically failed in the mission to cut $2 trillion from the budget is now going to be looking for all sorts of conflicts in voters' rolls. Yeah. The operational nodes are very clear that Russia's involved, Peter Thiel's involved, Palantir's involved, Elon Musk's involved, Tulsi's involved. It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, may very well be a Russian interference duck that's coming for the 2026 elections.
Yeah, check it out, narrative.org. And more importantly, thank you all for joining us today. None of this is possible without you. We have seen this incredible growth over the past year. Excuse me, it's been about a year now.
Yeah.
I think it's just over a year and a week. Yeah. That we've done this FiveStack, the 5 biggest breaking news stories as it matters to people that love democracy in North America, not Canada, not America, in North America, where it matters to your values and your virtues for a better society. So the fact that you're here makes us both incredibly grateful. Your paid subscriptions make this get to the top of the algorithm, keeps it at the top of everybody's news cycle. But your free subscriptions and your sharing, that's what really makes this work. So please subscribe. I've got 50% off before the end of the month. I think you've got 40% off, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not as generous as you are apparently, but I do try to give people discounts, and I'm going to give people a birthday discount for our first anniversary, for our first birthday.
As you should. I got
because
that
everyone
whole
needs to celebrate.
It ends tonight at midnight. Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do it. And everybody needs it. And, we're very thankful. I love working with you because I know how straight up and serious a guy you are, even though you sometimes are more entertaining than me, but you are one incredibly smart guy with a lot of knowledge about the way the world works and years of broadcasting history. And it's remarkable to have this, opportunity every day to be with you. And I think we really do give people a very different perspective on what is going on. This is not your news at 6 o'clock or whatever the summertime news is these days. You're not getting the same stuff on CNN. You're not getting the same stuff on MSNBC. This is the news as it really is happening from two guys who are a little bit, we're not as young as we used to be, but boy, do we know how things work. We know how things run in the world.
Sometimes.
And we're not scared to explain it to you. Not scared to explain it to you at all.
No, doesn't scare us. So please go and follow my friend Zev Shalev, narrative.org. If you got a couple minutes, go and give us a sub over at deanblundell.substack.com. But more importantly, thank you for joining us. Please share this with as many people as humanly possible. Brother, it is always great to see you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. We'll talk to you soon.
Great. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.